Hey friends, happy Thursday, 12th of August. Nice to be with you. Optional memorial of Saint Jean Francis de Chantal. My French accent is terrible, as we all well know. There's a link to the readings over on the side. I'll give you a reflection. Best thing you can do is, prayerfully read those inspired words and then turn off your screen. Spend some time in prayerful reflection before you move on to other sorts of things. Rock Springs folks, this Sunday, 5 p.m., Mass at Bunning Park. One Mass for our faith community. We're going to cancel Sunday Masses. Otherwise, it'll be followed by a hosted potluck by the Knights of Columbus. So hopefully you can make plans to join us Sunday evening in order to rejoice in the one faith that binds us together as one family. It's so easy, multiple Mass times, 2 buildings, 2 language and cultural groups. It is so easy to be separated. We have to intentionally make the decisions and engage the behaviors in order for us to be one. So please plan to join us, 5 p.m. Sunday. Please be praying for unity among us as a faith community. Thank you. I appreciate that. Jane Francis de Chantal, wife, mother, widow, nun, along with St. Francis de Sales, a great servant of the poor in France. I think she died 1610. She founded the Visitation Nuns, who especially were devoted to prayer, Mary, and service of the poor. So St. Jane Francis de Chantal, please be praying for us. Okay, first reading, we are moving into the book of Joshua. 3 days of Joshua. Joshua is the assistant to Moses, and he is the successor of leadership in the community. And just that reminder, right? Like none of us will be leaders forever and ever. All of us have to pass on the gift, the call, the burden of leadership. All of us are called to follow different leaders, and that itself can be its own challenge and its own pain. That's for sure. I hear both of these readings, Joshua and Matthew, calling us to the action of memory. And I think that this is so good for us as Americans who are just absorbed in the 24-hour news cycle and instant gratification and what's coming next. And our brains check out as soon as it's not new and riveting and whatever, cutting edge, right? Joshua serves as a recapitulation. Now, God is parting the waters of the Jordan so that the people can pass across into the promised land dry shod. It's a reminder that God is still with the people like God was in the desert as they passed through the Red Sea. Be mindful that the Ark of the Covenant is going to be placed in the temple. And so then this is also a call to the people to remember God's presence with them when they would worship in Jerusalem. This first reading, I hear, calls me to reflect on the ways that God has worked powerfully in my life in the past. And it's so easy for me. Oh, yeah, God did great things, but what's God doing for me now? You know, God, I don't think that you understand just how much I need it right now. To just keep going back to that grace, to just keep going back to that place where we are loved, where we are cared for, where we were struggling, where we were floundering, and God was there. I think that that's what this story of God with the next generation is about, is remembering the good stuff of God. Okay. Matthew's gospel, a teaching on forgiveness, and a challenging teaching on forgiveness that I suspect all of us can spend some time with. It's been said that, resentment, unforgiveness is the poison that we swallow in order to kill someone else, right? Especially if we've sat with unforgiveness for an extended period of time, we are mindful of the ways that someone else, someone who has wronged us, is outliving their life, oftentimes without even being aware of it. And we are the ones who suffer because of hardness of our hearts and unforgiveness. Remember, forgiveness doesn't mean that what happened is okay. We only have to forgive things if they were offenses. Forgiveness doesn't mean that we necessarily are going to continue to be in relationship with that person. As beloved children of God who live out of that place of respecting the gift of our own lives, which is the positive way to say the fifth commandment, sometimes we have to acknowledge that loving ourselves means we can't be in relationship with certain people, or we can't be in relationship with them in the way that they want. So forgiveness is not about being a doormat. Forgiveness is not about opening ourselves over and over and over and over and over to the same sort of a thing, but it is letting go of that resentment, that hardness of our own heart. And Jesus calls, through this parable, calls his followers to remember the way that they've been forgiven, either by humans or by God in the past, and then to pass that, pay that forward. So perhaps we would call to mind again the ways that God's forgiven us. I don't want you to go into it if it's a place of shame and guilt, but if you can remember the worst thing you've ever done, or the thing that made you feel the absolute worst, and again, the goal is not to throw ourselves a shame party and to roll around in that, but just to be mindful that we can choose bad things, but still know forgiveness, still know love, still know blessings. Because of that, we want to at least forgive others moving forward so that love and blessings and a softness of heart can be known within us as well. All right, plenty of stuff to pray on. Classic, the word is always rich. Happy Thursday, friends. St. Jane Frances de Chantal, please be praying for us. Read that reading prayerfully. Read those readings prayerfully. Turn off the screen. Spend some time praying. Be praying for those who are having a hard time. Happy Thursday, friends.